Hello, Matthew Wilson, Worms Etc. here. Today this video is going to be about harvesting. Now with harvesting and worms, we can either be talking about harvesting the worms or harvesting the castings. But the basic principle is that you want to separate the worms and the castings no matter what you want to harvest. There are several ways to go about this. You can use light, the light in a room, or sunlight to separate the worms from the castings, because worms do not like light. They'll go down. Like for instance in this tub here, I have some worms and worm castings and eggs all mixed together. The worms are at the bottom of it. See them here at the very bottom in a big pile? Now I can take this pile and set it here, and eventually they're going to go to the bottom of it again. I can scrape some more castings off of it, and the worms are going to go down some more. It works well, but it's kind of labor intensive and it takes a little bit of time. The next method is migration. Worms tend to follow food. So in your worm bin, you could feed it only on one side, wait a while, a couple of weeks, maybe a little less depending upon all your environmental factors, but eventually your worms are going to migrate to the part where the food is. Then you can take the worm castings from the other side out and use it for your garden. The problem with that is it's not 100%. Some of your worms are always going to be left in the other side. They stay behind for whatever reason, eat the leftover stuff. And it takes a while. It takes a couple weeks. It's just not efficient, and it's not complete. So that leaves us with the third option, which is mechanical harvesting. Mechanical harvesting uses screens usually, like this big mechanical harvester I have back here. The worms go in the front here, then they travel down because of gravity as this thing turns, and the worms will come out the end here. And because there's two screens, there's a 1/4 inch on the inside and a 1/8 on the outside, the worms stay. The worms don't go through any of the screens. The worm castings go through both screens. The eggs get stuck between the two screens, so now we have separation of the worms, the worm castings, and the worm eggs. This is the best case scenario because we have all three separated. Now there's always some worm castings left in with the worm eggs, but it's not a huge amount, and that's not a problem. The eggs need something to hatch into anyhow. But this is a big expensive machine. It's not practical for a lot of people. So that leaves us with another option here for mechanical harvesting, which is hand screens. I have two hand screens here, same as this screen's behind me here. One's a 1/4, one's a 1/8. We're going to start with the 1/4 inch screen, and this is going to allow the eggs and the worm castings to fall through, but the worms are going to stay on top. So I'm going to take my worms and worm castings and eggs and all and set them on top of this screen. Then I'm going to give it a shake over our tub here. Have a little bigger container and you won't make such a big mess like I just did. Put the rest of our worms in there. Give it another shake. And we're left with pure worms here, just about pure. And then we're going to take our worms and dump them into our empty container. Alright, so now we've harvested our worms and we have two containers. A container with, I dropped a couple of worms in here. Alright, so now we have a container with worm castings and eggs and a container with the worms. Alright, so we have our worms separated. Great. Now how do we get our eggs and our worms castings separated? We use the 1/8 inch screen. Set our 1/4 inch screen to the side here. I love making messes everywhere. It seems to be my specialty. I guess that's why I've become a worm farmer. But we're going to dump this in this 1/8 inch screen. Give it a little shake. I need a third bin. now we have our worm eggs. And also at the same time we've produced a really nice looking fertilizer, which can even go through a fertilizer spreader, especially if we let it dry, because it's real fine and crumbly. One more nice thing about these two screens together like this is that you can actually hold them together and do both separations at the same time. So this is actually a retake because I forgot about showing it this way. So I have my worm casting, and egg mixture. I'm just going to dump them on there. 1/4 inch screens on top, 1/8 inch screens on bottom. I'll give it a shake. I'm left with my worms on the top screen, a 1/4 inch screen, and my eggs on the next screen down, and the worm castings come all the way out the bottom. It's real simple and easy if you stack these two up together like that. So, alright, so you see these are excellent. A lot cheaper than this, a lot easier than this. I can put this on a shelf somewhere. This is kind of hard to put on a shelf. But if you're going to be a professional worm farmer, ultimately you'll need a big harvester like this, maybe two. But when you're first getting started, these are great. I used these for a long time actually when I first started selling worms. We're selling these screens actually on our webpage to help people who are getting started in worm farming, and gardeners and stuff who want to separate their worm castings and keep their eggs. We're selling them on our webpage. You can go there, wormsetcetera.com, if you're not already there, and look at them and look at a lot of other stuff we have to offer. We're going to start selling a worm series here real soon, a video series on how to grow European night crawlers. It's going to be a complete series for a professional worm farmer. I think it's going to be great. It's going to go over everything from the beginning to end on how to grow worms, how to get yours to lay lots of eggs like this, how to get these eggs to hatch, how to keep the mites off of these things, because mites will actually eat European eggs. But that's it. Here's our big ball of worms, no dirt on them. Thank you for watching.